Hey, Ladislav, how are you doing?
Hello. Yeah, I'm fine. Thanks. How are you?
Yeah, even better. But what Ladislav, is it pronounced perfectly?
In Czech it's Ladislav, but I've heard worse, so it's fine.
Ladislav?
But
Ladislav?
Ladislav is fine, but it's perfect. The perfect pronunciation is Ladislav.
Ladislav. Ladis.
Almost.
Almost Ladislav. Okay. Um, okay, then what was your first computer?
Oh, that was a Didaktik Gama. I don't know if you heard of it. It was a Czechoslovakian copy of the ZX Spectrum.
Gama was the name.
Didaktik Gama.
Didaktik Gama. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was like in early 90s.
And it looked identical to the ZX Spectrum, or?
Not really, no. It was a small plastic box that I have beaten many times.
Okay.
And
what?
it had BASIC as the OS and the programming language.
Mhm.
I think there were assemblies, like assembly programs for that, but I've never had one. So I just used the basic thing, either to load, well, not usually programs, but games, or to build my own tiny little things.
So you basically started programming right away?
Yes. Yeah, you couldn't load a game without writing a load command.
Yeah, but this was just load, right? So this was the first command and sometimes run, but this was just one command.
Yeah,
so
yeah. But you had all the commands printed all over the keys. Like one key had like 3 or 4 commands.
Yeah.
Printed all over it, so you knew immediately that there's way more than load.
Okay.
Right.
And what's fascinating that this was a clone. So was it like a one-to-one copy, or was it like how to call it? Was it like refactored clone? The Czech one.
I'm not sure if it was a one-to-one copy, but like as far as I never got too deep into it.
Okay.
But as far as I know, it was a fairly decent clone. Yes.
Yeah, because if you think about it, it's really hard, to reverse engineer the ZX Spectrum and do it a little bit differently. So just to copy it is easy, but I think it just to look at this and try to replicate that is a way harder, right? It's like a re-engineering project actually.
Yeah, as far as I know, there were many reverse engineering projects back then. Like I think the Didaktiks were like engineered or reverse engineered from the ZX Spectrum in before the 98 year. So before the Velvet Revolution was still in the communist era, which like tried to copy a lot of things from the Western world.
Okay.
I think this was one of those.
Okay, so what was something or what was the most interesting program you wrote on this Didaktiks machine?
Oh, I don't think I wrote anything interesting really. I followed a couple of books, and like they mostly tried to teach you by writing little games. So what I wrote were usually little games. Like one I remember is that there was a little how do I call it? A little platform at the bottom, and it didn't even bounce balls like in Arkanoid. Just moving left and right, and when you let it move too much to the left, it hit the left border and the game ended. And the same on the right.
Okay.
It was just you had to keep the platform moving and not hit any of those ends.
Okay,
so like a tiny little thing, but I think I spent a lot of time in it.
Yeah, funny you say Arkanoid. You mentioned Arkanoid because Arkanoid is the most recent version of the, how is it called? Ball Breaker? No, Ball Breaker. There was a different name for Arkanoid, There's the old name, and Arkanoid is the newer game. Because some of my guests mentioned the older one. I only knew the Arkanoid.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, and Arkanoid, this is what I know. But there is a 10 years older version of Arkanoid. I forgot is this like wall breaker or ball breaker. I will have to look it up again. But I always was amazed that and the my guests who know the older game, they don't know the name Arkanoid, which is interesting. Okay. Because Arkanoid happened 87, I think, and the other one was like 10 years earlier. So this is the interesting part. Mm-hmm.
That is interesting indeed. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I will have to look it up. I heard it several times here. Okay, so what happens after ZXspectrum? Oh, Didaktiks, not ZXspectrum. What happens after Didaktiks?
What happened afterwards?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was computers at school. Right, so I learned a little bit of BASIC on my own at home. Then started learning programming properly at school, where we used Karel. You probably heard of that.
What? How it's
Karel. Okay, so you probably didn't. It was a programming teaching system.
I know, Karel the robot, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
So that was like fairly useless. Except I learned recursion really hard.
But the Karel, or how it's called, it is already in Java, right?
Oh, it's been written in many languages, many times, and many environments. I think there's a 3D Karel actually, but the original one that I had was just a 2D system where the robot had how large was the city? It was like 10 times 10 or 20 times 20 fields, and there were like walls and signs that you can drop and pick up, and I learned like the version I used didn't even have procedures. I don't think it had loops actually. Later versions had all of that. The version I had was just a sequence of like 4 statements. Actually, there were procedures. Yeah, I remember that. There were procedures, and you would have to build. For example, there was a procedure to turn right, and you had to build a procedure to turn left by turning right 3 times.
Almost like Logo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and interesting, because I found the Karel recently, and it was written in Java, so I assumed this is the real one, but I didn't know that there are many Karels in different programming languages.
Yeah, that was like that's a very old programming learning environment.
Okay. So you learned recursion in BASIC with Karel?
No, not in BASIC. It was in Karel. I didn't even know recursion existed until I started learning Karel. Karel was actually the recursion was the only sophisticated thing Karel was able to do.
Okay.
And I think I used it we used it at school to its maximum potential.
Okay.
I don't think I ever used recursion this heavily any time since then.
It's the Karel the recursor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And and which programming language you used? It was like a specific Karel language?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. That's like a tiny language that doesn't really know much. Just has a few built-in commands. It has procedures. It has an if statement. It has recursion. And that's mostly it.
Okay.
So I learned this
on Didaktiks, right? Or later?
Yes. Yeah, it was Didaktik at home, and I don't know what computers we used at school. I don't remember.
Okay,
so a few years.
What happens after Didaktiks? So you learned recursion Didaktiks, and this was, and then?
Yeah. We started with Pascal at school.
Okay, PC.
Yes. Yeah. I think it was Turbo Pascal 6 or 7.
Okay, cool. Turbo Pascal actually was nice. So I was fascinated by Pascal because I could create binaries, which I really liked. Yeah. And what you did with Pascal? Just school stuff, right? So nothing exciting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I didn't really do anything. Well, we tried learning. The Turbo Pascal shipped a Borland library for not GUIs but text UIs. and it had object-oriented facilities at that time, which I like never knew. I never saw them before. Never learned about them at school. We tried using that. I don't think we ever wrote anything practical in that, but it was fairly interesting. So I learned Pascal both at the basic school and at high school. The last year of high school, I made I started learning C. Just something I continued at the university. I think at the university we still used Pascal in the first year, the first 2 years maybe. I don't remember. Then we got.
But you wrote something, at home just for fun, or was it just mainly school, the C and Pascal?
I did try writing things at home. I don't think anything like remotely practical came out of it.
Okay.
But I spent a lot of time experimenting.
Yeah.
I think at some point we got to the first version of Borland Delphi, which was like I don't to this day I don't know of a better UI designer than Delphi.
Yeah, it was famous. It was like object-oriented Pascal. This was, people really love it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I love that too. I know that actually at some point I came across Xelphi, which is like a Java inspired, the Delphi inspired Java IDE. I think it was predecessor to NetBeans actually.
I didn't knew that about Xelphi. That's interesting actually. Okay, so in university you had to learn Java, or you wanted to?
We started learning Java. I think it was second year. I think started learning Java, and like eventually I stayed there. I learned a few more languages, both at the university and later outside, but since then my main language was Java.
And you like Java, right?
I like it and hate it.
Okay.
It's a love-hate relationship actually.
So what happened after university? So you became
work happened.
Java.
I think actually worked since I prolonged my university studies for 1 year, so I spent 6 years there, and since the summer between the 5th and 6th year, I started working on full time for this Pilsnerian company. I don't know if they still exist. Probably do. I haven't been there since a while.
Which company?
It was a company called Insight at that time. Later we renamed to Ivitera. I don't think that's important.
No, but what you did there, so that's interesting.
Yeah. So what we did was like fairly standard information systems, but built on a fairly non-standard foundation. We had, which was like wasn't exact. We called it an object database. It wasn't exactly an object database per se, but it was it was an object model written into MySQL. So it seems fairly abstract when I'm describing it like this, but what we had basically was a table called objects, a table called relations. And then for each attribute of an object, we had an extra table, attribute 1, 2, 3. I think we had several hundreds attributes. And attributes were attached to objects dynamically. So I think it was like fairly flexible.
But queries were slow, right?
Yeah, queries were slow, but we had a cache, in-memory cache for a lot of objects and attributes. So we didn't really suffer from any performance problems.
Interesting.
Because
interesting concept, actually. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mostly because the load on our services wasn't very high.
Mm-hmm. It sounds almost like JSON, right now. JSON exploded JSON in a relational database.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was like later when the NoSQL movement became popular. I even presented this solution on one of the NoSQL meetups in Prague.
And you were the hero, right? So I did NoSQL for 20 years, and now what are you doing here?
Yeah, almost. We later, like for queries, we actually implemented a Lucene-based query engine.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually based directly on Lucene. It was based on Compass,
mm-hmm.
which was a library on Lucene, which is abandoned today, but it was created by the author of Elasticsearch.
Oh.
Because before Elasticsearch, there was Compass.
Interesting.
So we did that.
And was everything, which Java was it? Which Java version?
I think when I came there, it was Java 5, I think.
Okay. So fairly recent. So you had annotations already?
Yeah. We had generics, actually.
Uh-huh.
At the university, I started with Java 1.4, I think.
Okay. So you're a youngster.
Yeah, you can say that.
Yeah, young Java developer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, very good. So, okay, what happened after the company?
So I spent 4 or 5 years there, something like that. Then moved to FlexiBee. It's an accounting system.
Okay.
Again, written in Java. It was a fairly standard thing. Swing UI. The non-standard thing we had at that time was we had a RESTful API. I think that was something none of the other accounting systems had. At least none of I was aware of. And that's what I was working on. I didn't do.
What was the backend? Was Whitefly or?
No. We had a fairly simple architecture. We had like we had a fairly heavyweight client written in Swing. We had a Postgres database, and in front of and in between those there was a very thin layer written in Java with Jetty.
Okay.
And what was the Jaxaris container?
Jersey.
Yeah, Jersey. Yeah, thanks.
You have to know it. No, no, you don't have to know it because you have to know REST easy. Jersey was the other side, was Glassfish.
Yeah.
Exactly. Sorry,
I do REST easy these days.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Jersey was also almost Czech invention, right? So lots of Czech developers work actually on Jersey, and it was the other side that was the Glassfish camp, and REST easy is more Whitefly, JBoss, and Quarkus, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Quarkus actually has 2 REST easies these days.
Reactive and classic, right?
Yeah. We actually renamed the REST easy reactive project to just Quarkus REST.
Yeah.
But the package names are still there, or JBoss REST easy reactive.
Okay. So interesting project. So how you enjoyed that with RESTful and Netty, or no, not Netty, Jetty, right? It was
Jetty. And Hibernate. So.
But this is strange. If I already have a Hibernate, I wouldn't fiddle, with Jetty. I would just use Whitefly or whatever to make stuff easy, because with Hibernate it crosses the line, because the entire session management, whatever, is way easier. If you have a container, you can eject stuff and you are done, right?
Yeah, that's right. But as I said, that was a bolt-on. Like first, at the beginning, the FlexiBee system, or at that time, Windstrom, was just a heavy UI application and a database. And there was no server in between.
Okay.
Right, and so the Swing application just managed Hibernate sessions manually. We later added the server, which exposed the RESTful API, and it managed its own Hibernate sessions. But for the connections from the header UI, it just forwarded them to the Postgres database.
Yeah, but still you have some code, which maintains that. If you would use Quarkus on available, but let's say Whitefly, there will be nothing to maintain, right? It will be just clean business code. So it will be basically no.
Yeah, that's probably right. But we had a ton of logic written in the UI already. So.
Okay. Okay. So how long you spent in?
So I spent something like 2 years there. And then I joined Red Hat.
Oh, how? How it happened?
Well, how it happened, I sent the CV.
Okay. And why you would like to join Red Hat?
Well, I was figuring at that time that I could finally. I mean, I might have grown enough to do what I always wanted to do, which is like not build applications for regular users, but to build tools for developers. To abstract one step away from the users. And there isn't a lot of companies in Czechia that do that. There's JetBrains, there's Red Hat, and I don't know of anyone else. Right, so I sent the CV to Red Hat, and I actually ended up in
Oracle, maybe, right, as well. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, NetBeans.
Right, yeah. I didn't consider Oracle at the time. Actually, I did consider JetBrains and Red Hat.
Yeah, back then Oracle was in a strange situation with Java. No one knew what happens with Java and all that stuff. Yeah. But right now is actually, I would say, good citizens, right? So it is way better than I expected. Actually, the Oracle story behind Java.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely agree.
And it worked, obviously.
Well, I got a phone call from I didn't know who that was at the time. It turned out it was a quality engineer in the middleware quality engineering team. Did an interview and joined the JBoss Enterprise Application Platform quality engineering team.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Just a fancy way of saying that I became a tester.
Okay. Interesting. And how you tested? So what was or what's interesting? What were the first 2 days? It's just getting a notebook or whatever, or what was the start on a company? No.
Yeah, I think it was fairly straightforward. I got a notebook. I got a place to sit.
Okay.
And I installed an operating system.
Linux, I guess.
Yeah. I wouldn't directly say that it wasn't a Red Hat Linux.
Okay.
It was a Linux. And I started working right ahead.
Okay.
I think at the very beginning I started with the load balancing thing we had, which was called Mod Cluster. I think it still exists. I don't know.
Mod Cluster was actually interesting because Mod Cluster was able to replicate the load using HTTP calls, right, across Wi-Fi or Java servers.
Yeah. No, that the many load balancers could do that. The interesting thing about Mod Cluster was that there was a back channel from the application server to Mod Cluster, which provided a rudimentary form of metrics. Load. Like current load of the server, current number of handled requests, something like that, which allowed Mod Cluster to more intelligently decide where to send requests.
Which is a genius idea, but you have to be only careful about swinging, right? So because if you say I'm not overloaded, you get all the traffic, and then I say I'm overloaded. This was always my problem with such load balancers, but. the back channel is really interesting one, because you could also say, I would like to stop serving, and you could have rolling updates with it, right? Because you get,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So you became the mod cluster guru?
Not really. No. We had a mod cluster guru on the team who isn't doing mod cluster anymore. But I didn't spend much time with mod cluster. Actually, I spent 2 months, 3 months doing some basic testing of that. Then I moved to testing Wildfly or EAP clustering.
Okay. And how you wrote the tests? Well, like a journey test or?
Well, I think most of the time I spent there, we're using SmartFrog, which was like a fairly early version of like configuration management tool written in Java. I think it was actually written at HP at that time. It was open source. I don't think it was heavily developed when I got to it, but we were using it.
What's the name?
SmartFrog.
SmartFrog. Okay.
Frog.
So frog.
Yeah, SmartFrog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I think you could still find it online.
Yeah, I will. So it interests me. So
So we use that for orchestrating the cluster management and test runner, right? So we typically had a cluster of 4 members running on 4 bare metal nodes, and we had 1 node that was driving. Actually, it wasn't just one. It was 1 in failover tests, and then we had like a stress test where we had 5 nodes running load against the cluster, things like that. And like what the SmartFrog system was used for was just to orchestrate the cluster, and then run some Java classes that just use HTTP to call the deployed applications on the cluster.
And how you measure the success? So you had to see whether all the servers got equal number of requests or whatever. So was it like, were they instrumented or?
Well, that depends on what kind of testing you do.
Yeah.
So like the most important kind of tests we did were failover tests, where we didn't really care about performance. What we did care about was that all requests are responded to, even if one of the nodes of the cluster is killed, for example. That we had a test with graceful shutdown, we had a test with like a non-graceful process kill, and we had a simple application, which is like one of the hardest things to cluster, which is a counter. Like we had a single counter, and we expected that a monotonically increasing sequence is created, and there are no gaps in that sequence.
This is actually a cool idea, I have to say, to use a counter as a test for a cluster. This is a genius. Yeah, really, because it's very easy and it's the hardest problem as well.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
I remember I used HA singleton on old JBoss to have counters like that. So this was not for testing rather than in applications, because we need something like we need to have a one master or one leader, and we use HA singleton for it back then, right?
Yeah.
Actually, cool project, right? What you did with that?
It was cool. Yeah. I mean, there were 2 phases of work at quality engineering. One of them was test development, which was cool. The other was test execution, which wasn't very cool, and it sometimes took quite a long time. But
I
remember,
especially flaky tests, right? So
that is, of course, a problem. The biggest problem was, at least in my eyes, was that we sometimes had many releases. I think the longest test cycle I remember was EAP 7.0, like obviously a major release. I think it took half a year to get that thing out.
Wow.
And like it was like 10 or maybe 15 releases we had to test. That was very draining. Like it was,
Yeah. So after 7.0, you quit the organization and moved on to somewhere else, I guess, right?
It was actually somewhere around that time. Yeah, I think it might have been about around 7.1 something, where I moved to. I didn't move too far. I moved to becoming a key quality engineer of Wildfly Swarm. It was later renamed to Thorntail. So yeah, I spent some time there. I became a lot closer to the engineering team than when I was on Wildfly. Although from what I've heard, the quality engineering team of EAP is much closer to engineering than when I was there.
Interesting, because this Whitefly Swarm and Thorntail, I ignored it a bit because my problem was that Whitefly was small enough. So for me, it was not worth, to using Whitefly Swarm or Thorntail. I always picked the Whitefly and everyone was happy. So I never understood the concept why we need Whitefly Swarm, why we need a Swarm or Thorntail. This was, and I asked many, and this was more, from what I can tell, more or less a marketing gig, maybe, right? So to do little bit the microservices as well. So, yeah.
I don't think it was a marketing push in any way. It was an engineering project.
Yeah, sure, it was.
By just a small number of engineers. It never had like a massive number of people working on it. There's has always been some like 5 people, something like that, at most. Since the beginning was like 2 people. When it was at the most, the highest number of people, it was like maybe 5 engineers and 1 quality engineer. So and I don't think Red Hat has ever pushed it very heavily. But it was interesting for me, especially just because I got closer to engineering.
Yeah,
I actually got so closer to engineering that when one of the team members left, I have applied to the replacement position or to one of the replacement positions, and I got it. So that's where I moved from quality engineering to engineering.
Cool. Now for me, I mean, I saw that it is leaner. I saw that, for Red Hat it's maybe easier to create Thorntail and Whitefly Swarm. But for my clients and for me, I say, okay, but, I will save a couple of megs. But why? So what is the killer use case? Because Whitefly, I was happy with Whitefly. It started in seconds and it was established, well documented. So for me, it was, why to leave Whitefly and go to Thorntail and Swarm and save, a couple of megs. So for me, it was not understandable. But what I understood from marketing perspective, back then, microservices were big. And people or developer perception was, the application servers are heavy and we have to do something about that. So every vendor I know, they created a single jar distribution, to be microservice compliant, which is okay. Whether the single, I didn't care at all back then because what I forgot to mention, I think at that time I already used Docker. So for me, the Whitefly was in the base image, and my war was in the specific image or in the sub image. So I had already the distribution, and I could do this with Swarm, but it was basically no different. So I never got the idea. The same was with Payara and Payara Micro. Was the same. I always used the full Payara. I never got the idea why I need Payara Micro. So, but Quarkus was different. And as Quarkus came out, so for me was immediately, as I understood the concept, for me, I said, okay, now it's different. It's not just about making it smaller. The concept is completely different. It is okay. This is worth investigation because this is the first time I see a true use case for that, or you can explain to someone why Quarkus is better, right? So this was the. But I'm curious about you. So skip Quarkus for now. But You started engineering. What you did then? So you started, on Thorntail, or?
So I started on the Thorntail team. I think at that time the Thorntail team was identical to the Red Hat microprofile / small right team.
Mm-hmm.
So we did a lot of that actually.
Mm-hmm.
I worked on small rifles, full runs mostly,
Mm-hmm.
and I still worked on the Thorntail project. Actually, when Quarkus was released, I became the Thorntail project lead, and like the sole engineer working on it.
Okay.
So I mean I agree with you that Wildfire Swarm and Thorntail didn't have like a killer. There was no killer feature that someone would immediately jump to it because of it.
Mm-hmm. If Whitefly is available, right? Without Whitefly, completely different story, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. What we did later on, or actually some of just part of the team, we created a prototype of Thorntail 4. Like at that time, we were at the version of Thorntail 2. Something.
Mm-hmm.
We created the prototype of Thorntail 4.
Why not? What happened with 3?
There was no 3.
Okay,
it
cool.
was like such a radical thing that we skipped 3.
That's cool, actually. Okay, this was maybe one of the reasons to use Thorntail. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So and that was actually a very different kind of thing. It was no longer a repackaging of Wildfly.
Mm-hmm.
It was from today's perspective, I would say it was like a precursor to Quarkus.
Okay. When was it? 2020?
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 2018, 19, something like that.
Okay.
It never left an alpha version, but I think a lot of the architecture work there went into Quarkus. But I never had a chance to work on it because I was like, as I mentioned, I became the project lead of Thorntail when Quarkus was released, and I spent like 1 or 2 more years on that, keeping the lights on for the Red Hat customers who had a subscription for a product that included Thorntail.
And what is Thorntail still available, or is it?
No.
Okay.
It's long gone.
Okay.
Yeah. So I spent some time there. Watching the other people having fun with Quarkus.
Okay, so you were the set Thorntail and everyone else did Quarkus.
Yes, yeah. On the team, I became just the only Thorntail project member, and everyone else were doing Quarkus.
Yes, they were the singleton. So okay.
Yeah.
and what happened then? As Thorntail is no more available. So what you did?
Yeah. When Thorntail was sunset, I moved to working with Quarkus.
Okay. Which area?
So that actually has changed over time. I think since the very beginning, I started working on the small rifles tolerance extension. Later on, I became interested and involved in CDI.
Mm-hmm.
It was at the time like a year, 2 years before CDI 4 was released.
Mm-hmm.
We were internally talking about restructuring or refactoring the specification to support what we were doing in Quarkus.
Mm-hmm.
It's like because there wasn't like very many things in CDI that we couldn't support.
Mm-hmm.
But we decided to not support some of them,
mm-hmm.
like specialization,
mm-hmm.
because who cares? Like no one has ever used it. But there was, and then there was a few other things we omitted. But the biggest thing we couldn't support at all was portable extensions.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because that's intrinsically tied in several ways to a runtime oriented architecture.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to have a running CDI container to be able to deliver events, and you have to have reflection and a few other things.
Suggestion: what if I reinvite you and we just talk about CDI?
We could do that, sure.
Because this would be now we learned what you did. Now we know your expertise in Arkanoid, right? And Carol. And because the CDI, I'm really interested in CDI portable extension, which was, a huge drama in the beginning. And I would say not that common. I would even say in business project, a little bit dangerous, because if you do this, no one will know actually that something is like a magic, you can, maybe like an AOP, but you could do stuff which no one knows about, right? You can hide things. So in business,
you can do like
it's crazy.
Anything and everything.
And what also interests me, that was like the CDI Lite, right? So the idea that you can launch CDI with plain Java without Quarkus is also interesting. And CDI inside Quarkus is particularly interesting because CDI is not dynamic, but it has to be somehow dynamic, because historically CDI was mostly implemented on reflection, but Quarkus doesn't use reflection. So the entire mechanism is interesting itself. So if you like, it would be a really interesting topic to have a CDI in Quarkus.
Sure.
Yeah. So let's do that. So maybe call it a podcast now, and right. So
okay.
And then I will reinvite you back in a few weeks, and we talk about CDI. Where people can find you on the internet?
I'm mostly hidden. I don't use a lot of social networks. I used to use Twitter. When it was bought by Elon, I moved away from that.
Actually, for unknown reasons, in the recent weeks, Blue Sky is getting...
Yeah, I've heard of that.
I don't know what happens, but it happens a lot in the last few weeks. I don't know what happened. Maybe it was mentioned somehow.
Yeah, I
no idea.
I don't know either.
Okay.
But really, I don't use any of the major socials. I'm on GitHub and I'm on LinkedIn. That's probably all I'm at.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what interests me behind you, there's a library. It looks like Harry Potter. What are the books about?
There's no Harry Potter in this library.
No, but it looks like old Harry Potter library.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Yeah. But it's actually mostly science fiction and fantasy.
And what is your favorite science fiction author?
Okay, I don't really have one name. I can give you a few names. Like
give a few names.
From science fiction, I love Orson Scott Card. I love what's the name? I love Neal Stephenson.
Yeah. Okay. Snow Crash.
Yes. Yeah. But my favorite novel from him is Anathem.
Okay.
One of the best science fiction novels I've ever read. And what else do we have? I love Dan Simmons, obviously. Then I also I like the old timers like Isaac Asimov and Arthur Clarke.
Yeah. Lem.
Yeah. I didn't read too much from Stanislav Lem, but it's certainly interesting.
Well, what I remember, there were some, funny stories from him. The short stories were funny from Lem. This was always fun. Interest.
And like I especially like space opera. I recently read The Expanse. I've been buying the books as they were published, but I didn't know how long the series was back then. So I read the first book, and then I kept collecting them until they finished. And then just this year, I figured I could read that. It was a fascinating 2 months, I think, of reading.
Long time ago, I read actually. I don't know whether I would call it science fiction, but this one was science fiction. Stephen King for sure, right? And usually it's like more horror and supernatural, but this is called Dark Tower.
Yes.
Yeah. And this was like complete different. And I don't know, this was a long time ago, but I was fascinated by the Dark Tower. It was an interesting book, actually.
Yeah.
Serious.
I didn't read anything from Stephen King yet, but I have the full Dark Tower series over here. Over here. It's waiting to be read.
Yeah, this is like this. I would remember this, Ronald, I think was his name, a Revolver Man, and it was like cyberpunk almost, science fiction with forgotten technologies. It was crazy, but it was a long time ago. So I found this book interesting, this series interesting. But I don't think I read the last one. But maybe, if you find time.
Okay. Yeah, I have like one of these libraries I have is full of unread books. I still have to get to.
Yeah.
So maybe when I retire, I'll have the time.
Yeah, exactly. This is yeah. Okay, perfect. So thank you. It was a nice conversation, and I'm really looking forward to CDI and maybe a little bit fault tolerance, because also challenging with all the interceptors, right? Maybe we could start with fault tolerance and move to CDI. Could be also it. So
okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.